On a plane flying across the Atlantic were the U.S. President, Bill Gates, the Pope, and a Vietnamese guy. Suddenly, the plane ran into serious trouble. The pilot rushed out and shouted, "We have to parachute out. The plane is badly damaged. There's no way to fix it." Then he grabbed a parachute and jumped immediately. After checking, they realized there were only 3 parachutes left. The U.S. president said, "I'm the most important person here. I have to live." He grabbed a parachute and jumped out. Bill Gates said, "I'm the smartest person in the world. I need to live too." He quickly snatched a parachute and jumped. Now only the Pope and the Vietnamese guy were left. The Pope said gently, "My child, I've lived a long life already. You should take the parachute and jump." The Vietnamese guy replied calmly, "No need, Father. The smartest man in the world just jumped out holding my mosquito net." 3 guys, a man from the U.S., 1 from France, and 1 from Vietnam, were traveling on a boat when it sank. They drifted onto a deserted island. Suddenly, God appeared and said, "I will grant each of you 1 wish." The American said, "I wish I could go back to the United States." In an instant, he was back in America, cruising through New York City. The Frenchman said, "I wish I could go back to France." Immediately, he found himself back in France, wandering around and checking out girls near the Eiffel Tower. Then the Vietnamese man said, "I wish those 2 guys would come back here with me." And just like that, all 3 of them were sitting together again, stuck on the deserted island, staring at each other in silence. This year, 3 artists from the United States, Russia, and China made it to the finals of an international painting competition. The American team warned their female artist to be careful of the Russian painter. They suspected he might pull a trick, so they planned to copy whatever he did to avoid being fooled. On the day of the contest, after 3 hours had passed, the Chinese artist proudly finished a powerful and majestic tiger. Then it was the Russian artist's turn. Without saying a word, he pulled down his pants, dipped his butt into a bucket of paint, and sat down on the canvas. Seeing this, the American artist did the exact same thing, pulled down her pants, dipped her butt in paint, and sat on her canvas too. When the results were announced, Russia won first place for speed and quality. The American team protested, "We did the exact same thing. Why does Russia win first prize?" The judges replied calmly, "Because the Russian artist painted a tomato with a stem, and the American artist painted a tomato without a stem." The United States, Russia, and China once held a strange competition to see who could live in the filthiest conditions. The challenge set by the judges was simple but brutal: a pigsty that hadn't been cleaned for an entire year. Whoever could stay inside the longest would win. The U.S. confidently sent their representative first. He made it through the first day, but couldn't take it anymore and ran out. Next was Russia's representative. He did fine on day 1. Day 2 was still okay, but on day 3, the judges had to call an ambulance to pull him out. He could barely breathe. Finally, it was China's turn. The Chinese representative went in, and after just 5 minutes, something unbelievable happened. All the pigs suddenly ran out of the pigsty, running on 3 legs, while using the 4th leg to cover their noses. At that point, the judges had no choice but to award the championship to the Chinese contestant. A truly convincing victory, wouldn't you say? On a flight, there were 2 Americans, 2 Japanese passengers, 2 French passengers, and 2 Chinese passengers. Unfortunately, the plane flew straight into the violent winds of a massive storm. The captain made an announcement, and the flight crew said that to reduce weight and save the rest of the passengers, some people would have to be sacrificed here in this. The 2 French passengers immediately stood up and shouted, "The spirit of Napoleon lives forever." Then they jumped out of the plane. After flying a bit longer, the situation became dangerous again. To stay safe, the crew announced they had to reduce the plane's weight once more. Without hesitation, the 2 Americans stood up and shouted, "Make America great again." Then they jumped out. A little later, the flight crew said, "If 2 more people are sacrificed, the plane will be safe. Otherwise, there's a high chance it will crash. Immediately, the two Chinese passengers stood up and shouted, "China number one," and kicked the two Japanese passengers out of the plane. Every year in the United States, there's a cow milking competition. This year, after the preliminary rounds, 3 contestants made it to the final. The contestant from Australia finished in 2 hours and came out with 6 large buckets of milk. The contestant from the Netherlands also finished in 2 hours, but he managed to milk 8 buckets. Finally, it was the Chinese contestant's turn. He went in and started milking. 1 hour passed. 2 hours passed. 3 hours passed. The judges waited and waited, but he still didn't come out. They assumed he must be losing badly. Just as they were about to award first place to the Dutch contestant, the Chinese contestant finally walked out, holding half a bucket of milk. The judges asked, "How is it possible that after 4 hours, you only got this much milk?" The man angrily replied, "Damn it, which idiot gave me a bull? Getting half a bucket is already impressive." And just like that, the Chinese farmer was awarded first place. This year, Russia hosted the Olympic Games, featuring a special event called obstacle swimming. 10 countries with strong swimming programs gathered at the starting line. The pool was enormous, and according to the rules, whoever reached the finish line first would win the gold medal. Unlike previous years, athletes not only had to swim but also overcome obstacles. Suddenly, 10 Russian military trucks drove up next to the pool. The truck doors opened, and on each truck were 10 massive Amazon crocodiles, the giant kind. One by one, the crocodiles were dumped into the pool. The referee fired the starting gun. All the athletes stood frozen, swallowing hard as they stared at the crocodiles. Suddenly, the American athlete jumped straight into the water. His arms and legs flailed wildly as he swam toward the finish line. He reached the end, climbed out of the pool, and the crowd exploded with applause, flashing lights, and rolling cameras. The gold medal was awarded. A world record was set. A reporter asked, "What motivated you to be so brave and overcome such a terrifying challenge?" The athlete ignored the interview and pushed his way through the crowd. The reporter followed up, "Who are you looking for? Who will be the first person you share this good news with?" The athlete shouted angrily, "Damn it, where's the guy who pushed me into the pool?" During a meeting, the Russian side accused the French of having terrible hygiene, saying they constantly urinate in public. The French immediately protested. "That's impossible," the Russians replied. "Tonight, we'll walk around Paris with AK-47s. Anyone we catch peeing in public, we shoot on the spot." The French agreed. The next morning, France announced 37 casualties. Furious, France sent 2 special forces agents to Russia. They carried shotguns and patrolled Red Square, doing exactly what the Russians had done. The 2 agents walked all night, cold, exhausted, and nearly frozen. They finally spotted a man urinating in public around 2 a.m. Overjoyed, they unloaded all their ammo on him. The next morning, Russian newspapers reported last night the French ambassador to Russia was shot dead by terrorists while performing his duties. 3 generals from Japan, the United States, and China were competing to see whose army was the bravest. The American general said, "I'll put 1 squad of my soldiers into a room. Once this feather touches the ground, 1 minute later, all of my soldiers will take their own lives." And that's exactly what happened. After the American general dropped the feather and walked out of the room, prayers could be heard from inside. 1 minute later, everything went silent. Next, the Japanese general said, "There's no need to wait 1 minute. The moment the feather touches the ground, my soldiers will do it immediately." He dropped the feather, stepped out, and gunshots were heard right away. All the soldiers were gone instantly. Then, it was the Chinese general's turn. He did the same thing, and the 3 generals sat down to wait. But after half an hour, there were still no gunshots. The American and Japanese generals laughed and mocked him. The Chinese general smirked and led them into the room. The American and Japanese generals stood there, mouths wide open in shock. Every Chinese soldier was lying flat on the floor, blowing on the feather to keep it from touching the ground. In a competition to see which country was the cleanest, 3 nations took part: China, France, and the United States. The contest began. First up was a young man from the United States. He walked into the restroom. A moment later, he came out, washed his hands, dried them with a clean towel, and politely greeted the judges. Very clean, very impressive. Next was a woman from France. She did the same thing, but went even further. She washed her hands with warm water, dried them with a clean towel, and even sprayed perfume on her hands. Victory seemed almost guaranteed. Finally, it was China's turn. A little boy walked into the restroom. When he came out, he said to the judges, "My parents taught me not to pee on my hands." To this day, France and the United States still don't understand how they lost. And that's the story. Thanks so much for watching Funny Tales. We hope it made you smile and brightened your day. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share it with your friend, and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear what you think. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new funny story. See you next time on Funny Tales, where laughter never ends.